Hello, I'm William Gallagher, and this is 58 Keys, which, as always, is for writers like you and me, who use and write on, well, Macs and iPhones and iPads, and actually, especially today, the Mac. Do subscribe or like or patronise me for it. Yeah, because we have so much to talk about, as ever. It's just, actually, this time, there's a lot, but it's a little bit bitty. Overall, the thing is, though, you're a writer, so you spend all those hours at your Mac writing away. And actually, if there were a way to cut down the time, I don't know that I'd take it. But there are these little tools, little utilities, sometimes tiny little extra apps you can get that all help. We spend the time writing, not piddling about with anything else. But let me show you, please, 5. I say 5, might actually be 7. Don't seem to be able to stop myself there. Let's go straight in with the one, actually. First one for me it's the newest for me. It's the newest and good chance is the most wide-ranging. Supercharge. Just look at this list of what it can do. In every case, right, whatever it is, you pick something you want to do, you decide on a keystroke, a set of keys to have it happen, and it does. The end. So far, I have to say, out of all of that, I'm mostly using it for dismissing notifications. The pop-up that appears way up in the top corner. I mean, like way up there in the top corner. Yeah, you spend the best part of an hour moving your cursor all the way over to click on that tiny little X in the corner, and then just as you brought the cursor back to you, here's another one for it. With Supercharge. Because I've told it I want to do this and I've set the keystroke. Supercharge installed, a notification appears. Hang on, actually, isn't that funny? When you're away from the keys, you can't remember. Option delete. Press that and Supercharge closes the notification, gets it out of my way. Means I'm not so distracted from it. It's not throbbing away at me and I'm not having to deal with it. And you saw that long list of what Supercharge can do? Nah. That is a long list of what you can set up keystrokes to do, but Supercharge has another, that's got 2 short lists as well, but another long list, from which I've also set up cleaning mode. Yeah, no, I'm not going to show you my keyboard, but in theory, right, I could show you later, turn on cleaning mode, then scrub away at the keys, cleaning them up properly without, waking up the Mac, launching apps, deleting something, anything that just random keystrokes could do. I think, actually, you see, I've mentioned 2 out of all the things. Supercharge takes some exploring, and there are so many options that finding the one you want, even when you know it's there, it's oddly tricky. Plus, with anything that sets up keystrokes, there is an issue that there's a potential problem that the combination of keys you decide, option delete, whatever it is already set up to do something somewhere else. Just like Apple's own keyboard tools for shortcuts like that, Supercharge will not tell you when a keystroke is already in use. Logic Pro does, and that seems such an obvious useful thing, but most places don't. So anyway, you have to choose carefully. And I think I need to explore this ridiculously powerful utility much more than I have. Supercharge for the Mac costs $18, and it's also in setup, the monthly subscription service that gets you 200 odd Mac apps. Next, one that's half new to me and half a now long time favourite, Hookmark. Hookmark for the Mac. Well, it's been around for years now, and I have depended on it for such a long time. But what's new is that there is a kind of iPhone and iPad equivalent to it. Ish. The best way to describe Hookmark for the Mac, which is just superb, is show you in action. Here, for example, is a magazine I produced the other day in a publishing app, Affinity Publisher. At any point in that app, I can press the keyboard shortcuts that I chose and bring up Hookmark. It looks like a list of bookmarks. I suppose actually in a way it is really, but that list you see there, it's not random, and neither is it some complete list of all bookmarks I've ever made, and it's not a list of bookmarks the way you usually think of it, bookmarks to websites. While I have countless bookmarks lists, this one is the one that appears when I am in Affinity Publisher. And look at the list. 2. It has 4 folders, 1 number spreadsheet, 1 email, 1 specific email, not just Apple Mail in general, and a specific Pixelmator Pro document, and 1 particular image I need to use. From that list, I can leap straight to any of these things that I have kind of gathered up together around me. They are what I need to do that job, and there they all are. Plus, I said that this is the list that appears when I'm in Affinity Publisher, but actually it's the list that appears when I am in Affinity Publisher in this specific document. Other documents, totally different list if I want them. And also, if I go to any of the folders, images or spreadsheets or whatever's on that list, inside those, the spreadsheet, the folder, whatever, I have the same list. So this isn't going from Affinity to Pixelmator. This is Affinity to Pixelmator to the reviews folder, to the email from the client, back again and across any combination of those in any sequence and over again. You think of what I need, what did the client say? Boom, you're right there, you're in it. Or you're in the folder, you're in the image you need to edit to make a little twiddle about that you just realised, then you're back in the publishing thing. It is fantastic stuff. And consequently, there now being an iPhone and an iPad version as well is like fantastic plus. Except Apple does not allow this kind of cross-linking between apps and files and folders on the iPhone and the iPad in the same way it does on the Mac. What the new Hookmark Pal for iPhone and iPad can do is hold a copy of the links you've made, the hooks you've made on the Mac. That alone is impressive. I don't happen to have done it, for example, with this Affinity project, but very often, for example, I will hook specific OmniFocus tasks to other apps or other documents. I have a task to read this document that updates. Yeah, that OmniFocus hook now goes over to Hookmark Pal. Open Hookmark Pal on the iPhone and the iPad, tap on that hook task, and it will open OmniFocus on the iPhone or the iPad. The thing is, Apple has so many constraints on what an iOS or an iPadOS developer can ever do. I mean, Apple's really stringent on this. They don't want any risk of one app interfering with another, for security and privacy reasons. Hookmark Pal will always have limitations, and also it's a very new app, so it's just brilliant that it exists. Hookmark Pal is a subscription app that costs £4 or $4 a month, or £30 or $30 a year. Hookmark for Mac, which is the thing I really am recommending, is a one-off purchase for either $30 or $70, depending on the version. And the Mac version, not the new iPhone or iPad one, solely the Mac version, is also available in Setup. Actually, the next one I want to show you, my third, is in Setup as well. Okay, it's PopClip. You know how on an iPhone and iPad, if you tap to select something, a little pop-up line appears with a list of options like, copy and paste is always there. PopClip brings the same thing to the Mac. And if it were just that, right, if it was just exactly what the iPhone has, it would still actually be handy. Because as soon as you've selected some text, this PopClip pop-up appears. You can click on, say, copy, and it's copied. But that isn't only what PopClip does, what PopClip offers. Instead, PopClip offers 216 and counting further options that the makers call extensions. So actually, in my case, run the list from left to right. That one pop-up gives me one-click access to a Google search, to the regular copy-paste. It gives me a word count, which I rely on a lot. It can send the highlighted text off to Google Translate. It can send it into OmniFocus or Drafts 5. And for some reason, I have it able to alter the case of the text. Not one thin clue why. And actually, I'd forgotten until right now. It's in my face every day, constantly, and I'd forgotten I had a Google search button in there. I might remove it. You can add and remove these extensions in any order, and you will. PopClip is truly one of those utility apps. You know you like it, but then you go to a Mac that doesn't have it, and everything just seems wrong, PopClip is on Setup, but you can also buy it outright for $12. Or actually, if you instead buy it outright for $25, you will also get every update forever, instead of just every update in the next 2 years. This business of the Mac feeling wrong without a certain utility app is most definitely the case with default folder X. It's not 10. I checked. again, an example. In fact, actually, let's go back to Affinity Publisher, because you can tell I've been in that app a lot lately. Let me, actually, I don't want to screw anything up. Let me add a page to the end of the magazine. And so there it is, nice safe blank page. And let's add an image box. I want to place an image into this magazine on this page. So I've set the box and I choose File, Place. And this is where default folder X comes in. That is a regular open dialog box like you will see in any Mac app, but there are so many other options and tools wrapped around it. Over to the left there, well, actually that's like a pinned document, although as it happens it's a spreadsheet, so it's well, I use a spreadsheet a lot, but not particularly here. What I want is this section over here under recent folders. It's a list of, well, recent folders, yeah? But as I find the recent folder I want, out pops this side list. And in there is the folder I'm looking for. So I choose that one. I choose, in this case, Image Work 1. And now you are seeing everything that's in that folder. If I now choose Images to Place, another folder, I get a list of everything in that folder. Plus, as I go through that list, I get a preview of the document, of the image I want. So in this case, yeah, it's an image. I can see right away it's the one I want. Find that picture, click, done. Place into Affinity. Default folder X has the same options when you're saving anything, and default folder X works with all Mac apps, every one of them without exception. Absolutely brilliant. Default folder X costs £37 or $40. I've really looked and I cannot find out how long I've been using this, but if it isn't 20 years, I'll buy a hat and eat it, and the hat will be more expensive. And throughout that time, by the way, there have been the odd major update that does mean paying, but really, if I could figure out the cost of using default folder X per day, per hour, over the lifetime, well, it'd be about a pixel and a half. Okay, next, and officially fifth, officially the end, well, I have two here. Totally different, totally separate, but both incredibly tiny, and both feeling like they're in the same genre, and actually both from the same developer. Both free as well. One is week number. It sits in your Mac's menu bar and says, this is week number, whatever. That's it. Week numbers are used extensively in television because, and also when I worked on Radio Times, I had to know this. Rather than saying this show is returning on this particular date, you'd say, well, it begins week 41, ends week 52. It actually, this changed, adding this changed my 58 Keys Patreon routine. I mean, you know how it works every week, close to every day really. Patreon members of 58 Keys get articles, chat, early video release, all these sort of things. And so I have an OmniFocus project for each week. Rather than having 50 odd projects in OmniFocus, I have two, this week and next week. And they are labelled Patreon week 41 or whatever. Week number is free, as I say, though you will want to give the developer a tip, just as you will actually for the other free menu bar app of his to do with time, day progress. It sits there in your menu bar, filling out like a little thermometer progress bar, filling out the day as you work. I admit, actually, I sometimes look at it for a laugh, as it doesn't default to expecting me to start at 5 a.m. and finish at 7 p.m. But somehow, why is this? It's still reassuring to me that things are moving along. So useful, not in any way essential that I can really define, but definitely handy. Which is also true of the last utility app I want to show you, except it's the only one that requires hardware. This is the virtual Stream Deck, and to get it for free, actually, you have to have bought a physical Stream Deck, a hardware one. It can be any Stream Deck. I have too many of them here, but it could be any of them. And actually, the virtual one, it checks that you've got a hardware one plugged in when you first run it. And then actually I found out, after a few weeks, it will randomly check you've got it. But this means you can have one Stream Deck and move the hardware between, say, your Mac and your MacBook, and forever get the virtual Stream Deck on both. Once you've used it, I think you will want to do exactly that for this reason. Wherever I am on the Mac, I mean, wherever on screen I'm looking or my cursor is, I can press a keystroke and have this happen. Apps that I open often, options that I want, folders, all of them placed as buttons on the screen right under my mouse cursor, or trackpad cursor in my case. Now, as it happens, I have chosen this 3x3 arrangement. I find it just handy, and I've also chosen what each of these buttons do. They're Stream Deck buttons. Whatever you can do on Stream Deck, you can do here, but you can have actually up to 8x8 rows and columns, and any variation in between. Plus, you can have as many of these virtual Stream Decks as you like. Just give each one a different keystroke, and you're away. It is ridiculous how dependent I have become on this. I mean, all right, maybe because I have this wide monitor, but having what I want right where I am, it is so convenient, so quick to use. And I'm certain that you're going to see this happen more, because just now, as I record this just right now, what would it be, 3 or 4 months after Elgato brought out this virtual Stream Deck, Logitech released a new MX Master mouse. Hang on, I'm charging mine here. And gave it a button that does exactly the same thing. You press that, Logitech brings up this, calls it the Action Ring. It's superb, also neater looking. I am still more of a trackpad guy than a mouse one, but I like this mouse, and I love the Action Rings to the extent I've set one Action Ring to call up the Elgato Virtual Stream Deck for me. Don't judge me. That virtual stuff, right, is small, so is the Action Ring, so is Default Folder X and Hookmark and PopClip and half a pile of other utility apps that I use a lot, and actually I expect I will doubtlessly enthuse about often and in the future. Tiny, single purpose, or not many purposes apps, and yet they do what they do so well. They do it and they help us. Specifically, they help us by saving time, by cutting out distracting delays, and so what they're really doing is they are helping us by giving us room, giving us time to write. That's it for this edition of 58 Keys. Do remember, please, the 58 Keys Writing Workshop set of videos that come out every Monday. And on Fridays, I'm just addicted to screenplays, so we'll talk about those. But for now, thank you for watching. Take care of yourself, okay? And I'll see you soon.